SpaceX Falcon 9 became the first rocket to launch into orbit in 2023. The payload of the Transporter 6 mission was a total of 114 satellites from all over the world. From Italy, Albania, Argentina, Turkey, France, Bulgaria, Ukraine, Singapore, Israel or Czech Republic. The rocket lifted off on January 3rd at 14:56 UTC from Florida's launchpad number 40. The first stage of Falcon 9 was deployed for the 15th time, tying the existing record. Since the payload was relatively light, the first stage had plenty of propellant. This allowed the return to land and attempt for a landing on the LZ-1 concrete pad. When the first stage returned to land, it is always possible to shoot very impressive shots, and it was not any different this time either. The upper stage of the rocket has reached an orbit, and it has performed the planned maneuver to raise the altitude. The carrier settled at an altitude of 550 kilometers, and the orbit was inclined to the equator by 97.5 degrees. Then, according to the precisely planned schedule, the individual satellites began to disconnect. However, not all satellites have this delivery orbit as their target. If they have to work in another orbit, then they could use the service of so-called free-flying deployers. These larger satellites from the companies like Momentus, D-Orbit or Launcher are filled with smaller satellites from customers before launch. After being released from the rocket, they move to another orbit using their own propulsion, where they launch the satellites. Our show also has its own Twitter profile. You can find the link in the video description. You will find not only new episodes of spaceflight news, but also other news from spaceflight.